So this cultivation, this development is a practice that we get to engage in. And what's interesting when I don't think I've ever met anyone who didn't want to have some peace and ease in their life, want some care and compassion, or want some stability of mind. But how often are we actually cultivating the causes for it, as opposed to just caught up in the day, things to do? And so if we can establish a regular practice where we water and nurture and cultivate these qualities in our hearts and minds, then it's something that we can bring into the world more appropriately, and we can actually have the benefits of it. So knowing better rarely changes our life. Doing better can. And the opportunity to wake up in the morning and to take a few moments after, whatever meditation practice you have, to cultivate these qualities of mind. To what we water grows. What we water grows. Hi, welcome. You can either grab a chair. We have some cushions in the back if you'd like to grab those. Either way. Oh, no worries. So as we all is online, we got a couple people coming in here. So yeah. I'm going to pause just a moment, let them get settled. We used to have our Dharma Center at the other end of our 3rd Street Center. So yeah, we moved on them. Sneaky. So one of the sort of fascinating things that we all know in life is, if I want to be healthy, I know I need to exercise, I need to eat healthier. It's kind of odd to sit there and think I'm going to be strong and healthy and just sit around on the couch all day and eating, ice cream and jelly beans. We don't sit there and think somehow I should be healthy if I do that. And yet, so often in our hearts and minds, we can think that we should be loving and kind, that we should be able to really skillfully interact with others, that we can have some peace and ease in our mental and emotional states if we're not doing anything to create it. What we water grows. What we put into our mind becomes the seeds of which thoughts and emotions arise. And so the health food that we can put in our hearts and minds, the thoughts that we can engage in consciously, are just huge, rather than waking up in the day and just having a lot of stuff to do. And then things are coming at me and I'm doing this, or I'm reacting to that, I get a little frustrated here, or caught up in something. And, when's the last time I took a little time to, just think about, the good qualities of my coworkers, what I admire about them, or the good qualities of my spouse or my partner or my children. Sometimes we have children to deal with instead of incredible little beings that we get to nurture and add to our life. And what we water grows. So if I'm not thinking about those things consciously, it's hard for them to arise unconsciously. That when we bring attention to something, that becomes our reality. So is my mind being drawn, as it gets so easily done, to something, right? We go to meditate, mind's thinking about something else. I'm doing something, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore because my mind has wandered. And then thoughts arise, and then frustrations arise, or fears arise, or some joy arises, and did I think those things? Or did they just arise? And now I'm aware of them. Well, they keep arising out of habit. So there's mental activity within us all the time, right? It's anyone who's tried to meditate for a little while realize you got a lot of mental activity. That's what the mind does, right? Thoughts, images, emotions, feelings that are coming and going. And it's just constant. Well, it's going to arise from what we've watered. So if we can take some time each day and water the seeds that we'd like to grow, then there's much more opportunity for those thoughts to become more habit. And that you start seeing others and see their value and seeing that they are other beings just like us, and trying to find their way. So this practice of a measurable mode of metta bhavana, loving kindness, is a practice in which we take some time to really experience these. There's four specific qualities within the teaching, within ourselves. And the idea is that we do it so we can help others. And it's funny because in the West, you tell people to be loving, kind to themselves and to be peaceful and ease. And it's like the hardest thing in the world. I can be nice to you, but me, that's crazy. And there's actual sort of Western teachers that have given up on starting with loving kindness for self. They start with having people bring it to others and then eventually get to themselves. It's that bad in our Western culture. It can be so hard to allow yourself to be good to yourself, to feel loved, to feel cared for. And so this practice actually starts with doing that for ourselves. And there's 4 specific qualities within the text. The first one is having loving kindness, a feeling of loving kindness. Sometimes it's, may I be free of enmity, of sort of anger and so forth. But really the cultivation is, may I have the state of loving kindness in my heart and mind, free of anger and hatred. That's one quality. The second one is being free of mental afflictions like stress, worry, fears, that stress that we can get caught up in. And then the third one is physical health. Physical health. So can I be mentally well? Can I be physically well? And then the fourth one is about happiness, actual happiness, some joy, some well-being, a sense of happiness. And so these 4 qualities are what have been taught. Now it's taught within the Buddhist lineage, but as we can tell, these are probably good for any human beings. And I know we have online, we build this not as a Buddhist teaching, but coming from a lineage, and but sharing it in a way that supports everyone. These qualities are so necessary. I mean, I watched some YouTube video yesterday, and I watched, normally I can watch things like people helping people and, like wonderful stories where they save animals or people like that. But yesterday I watched different things. They actually have YouTube kind of channels for like Walmart drama. People getting in fights, people yelling at each other, people getting caught up, road rage, right? People just getting caught up and harming each other. And you could just see how people get triggered in a moment, and otherwise normal, just fine, we're shopping at Walmart, gets caught up in just an antagonistic, horrific verbal abuse, which can also get physical. And, we look out at the world and it can so easily be me and them instead of we and ours. This misperception that they are somehow separate from me. And I even realize that, we're all creating this world we live in. And what I do matters. It has an impact. And what others do matters. It has an impact on me. There's a very interdependent relationship. Every time we stop at a stop sign, people are safer because we stopped. And throughout the day, there's a huge amount of politeness, of kindness, people opening doors, people helping people, which can all just fall to the wayside when we get angry. And those people are like this. And then we kind of fill them in. Those kind of people are like this, and forgetting that those people also care about their kids. They want to be healthy and well. And the more that they feel safe and in a place of meaning and purpose, We're all going to benefit. And so, yeah, I took some time to watch that just to see, what's going on there. And yeah, it hurts. It hurts to watch that. Otherwise, normal people in a different situation, would be, visiting with each other. And, what are we paying attention to about someone? And so loving kindness is an antidote to that kind of quick, afflictive, triggered mental state. That the more that I can cultivate loving kindness, peace and ease, physical well-being, some happiness, we call it genuine happiness. It's really a state of well-being. The easier it is for me to have some patience with others. The easier it is to see somebody's having a bad day. I don't need to point out that they don't have their mask up over their nose, and whatever that thing is that somebody might be triggered by, or how can I engage with people in a more skillful way, and understanding that they're like me. They're trying to find their way, and they've had a different way of being conditioned in their life, different experiences, different culture than I was brought up in. So this idea of cultivating loving kindness is a way of not only us being more peaceful and at ease and patient and skillful, that it changes the interactions I have with others. So we can still have boundaries. We can still be appropriately holding a boundary, holding someone accountable, but coming from a place that we recognize their value as a human being, and we're dealing with this action that they're engaged in. And there's just a whole lot more resource then of how to interact with someone, as opposed to they're a freaking idiot, don't you know? I noticed even on a plane, like the whole little mask thing, right? So, there's this guy who had his mask down, and, just to hear, right? And just kind of noticing, it's like, there's just the rules, wondering how it's going to go. And just watching my mind. And then, he just noticed it was down. He popped it back up. Yeah. But boy, you can make up a story in a minute, like, wow, look at that. And he popped it back up. And then, people have different views on that, right? And from their perspective and what they've known about their paradigm that they engage in, which doesn't make it inaccurate either, and understanding that what people do makes sense from their side, from their perspective. And I'm rarely going to win anyone over by yelling at them. Just haven't been very successful at that. But boy, if we can just have a conversation, it's amazing what we can do. So this practice of loving kindness then is one in which we spend some time cultivating these qualities within ourselves, so that we can be more skillful with others. We're also more capable within ourselves, so we're more at peace and ease. And then we really bring the mind of offering it to others. So, stage one is developing it here, and then thinking of others. And there's sort of a gradual process, starting with people you like, want them to be healthy and well and loving and kind. And then we bring to mind people that we're kind of neutral about, people that we don't know that well. And there's a real value in that practice that is meaningful to me, is that they become very real to me. I've gotten to know my mailman, Jeff. He's the guy now. And, he was just a guy who would deliver, but, you do this practice, you start thinking about him, what's his life like, wish him, and then we get to know his name, we're chatting him up. And then, the clerks at the store, and, the different places, I just came back from traveling, and, looking someone in the eye and just, how's your day going? The guy at the little kiosk where we pulled out of the airport parking lot, he was just shocked. And you just look at him, how are you doing? What's going on? You staying warm? And, they're just like, wow, you're noticing me. And so these are the ways that we can really impact the world that we live in. And guess who's not suffering so much? So the Dalai Lama calls it being wisely selfish by being not self-centered. And so we think first with these people that we like, and then the people we don't know so well, we're kind of neutral about. And then we move into the people that we're really challenged by, we have some feelings, animosity towards, and then really, wanting them to be healthy and well and happy. And a lot of people kind of get there a little slower. But I will point out that like people say, how can I wish loving kindness on so-and-so who's this big malicious person? And you think, well, that's the person you really would want to wish it for. Because if they had loving kindness, they probably wouldn't be that kind of person. So it's not that we're rewarding harmful behavior, it's that we're understanding the causes of harmful behavior. The harmful behavior arises from what? It doesn't arise from being happy and feeling loved, right? When you're happy and feeling loved, you're not, out there calling somebody a freaking idiot and doing whatever, or stealing, breaking their car window. Wow, that was exciting. So if somebody has a sense of well-being and care and compassion, well, they're probably going to do less harm. And so the people who we kind of peg in that way, it's most important to really want them to have some loving kindness. So they're going to sense their value, know what it's like to feel good about doing good, to be able to look in the mirror. And if we understand that piece, and we want to tap into that a little bit today, then that's much easier. Like, the people we really don't like are the ones you really want to wish that they find, some virtue and some kindness and happiness. It'll make the world a better place. So that's, and then we put it to the whole world. So it's, myself, people I like, neutral people, people I don't like, and then kind of open up to the world and, animals, all beings. And so that's the practice as we go through this. The basic teachings on loving kindness is what's the true source of happiness? The true source of happiness and well-being in the world is virtue. You feel good when you do good, and you don't feel so good about yourself when you don't. So if we go back to Aristotle, we go back to the wisdom teachings of Christianity, Buddhism and so forth, ancient philosophers, and now we have research on happiness. It's the same thing that my coach used to teach me. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. In other words, what's happening in my life isn't the source of my happiness or suffering. What's happening for the source of my happiness is how I engage with what's happening in my life, what I'm bringing to it. So engaging with life as it arises with some virtue, with some ethics, some way that is in alignment with my values, some way that I feel good about, is what's going to make me happy. Not getting you to do what I want. Getting you to do what I want will make me feel good for a little bit. But man, that's untenable, because then they'll go off and do something else. And trying to manage all that, a lot of stress, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of suffering. But engaging with you from a place of virtue, of kindness, of compassion, of understanding, and with the boundaries. This all has boundaries. Loving kindness is nothing about enabling behavior, and that's not virtue. And if I want someone to be happy and have genuine happiness and well-being, well, I'm not wishing that they continue to act like, a violent narcissist. That's not going to do it. So I have boundaries, I have accountability, but it's coming from a place of recognizing their value instead of they are a horrible person. They're an incredible human being who is doing some harmful things right now. And that's how they're showing. We're going to deal with those things. And that's where the skill of loving kindness has such an impact, as we start seeing everyone as a precious human being, just like me, trying to find their way. I've actually done some pretty harmful things, brutally harmful things. Yeah. And am I a brutally harmful person? Or am I a person who's done some brutally harmful things? And am I also a person who's done some very kind, compassionate things? Yeah, I've done that too. And on any given day, based on the conditions and how I was raised or what was going on, I didn't always have the opportunity to know how to do good. And that's kind of a premise in my life, is I don't think I've ever met a human being that didn't want to be a good person. I have met human beings like myself who didn't know how just yet. Like I didn't know how to do that yet. And so this opportunity to understand that about people gives us such a resource in how to engage in the world and make a real difference. And it has ripples that are beyond measure. So loving kindness belongs to this immeasurable abode, the four immeasurable abodes: equanimity, loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy. And metta is one of these that you can't measure the benefits. It makes such a difference, not just in your life, but in the world. So it's kind of a pep talk, right? It's kind of like a good thing to do. But underneath it is to understand why. So the Buddha gave this teaching a long time ago, actually to some forest monks, and to really change an environment. And then these teachings have come down. And then you'll hear different sort of formulas for it. I mean, typically it's self, and then, people you like, and so forth like that. But the four qualities, remain embedded in however they're wording it. So the way that we word it, and the lineage that I have. So everything that I teach, and this is, I have a lineage. It's been passed down. It's and it was from a Tibetan nun named Tenzin Kacho, and so it's just that's been the way it was taught to me. It's the way it's kind of worked in my life, and it's the words that I use. And it begins with, may I be filled with loving kindness. So, that's that starting point. I'm free of anger and hatred, free of enmity. I mean, some of the Pali Canon would literally say, may I be free of enmity. But though it is, may I be filled with loving kindness. If you're filled with loving kindness, you can't have loving kindness and hatred at the same moment. You can have it pretty darn quick, right? You can go from, I feel pretty good about you, wow, you're such a jerk, like that. And then there's a blend in between. But pure loving kindness, it's like turning a light on in the room. The darkness is gone, right? You can't have the anger if pure loving kindness is there. So cultivating this sense of loving kindness, and there's some techniques for that. Often the traditional one is a mother holding a child and a mother's love. And that's kind of problematic, I think, with a lot of people here in the West, because we didn't always have such a good relationship with our moms and some of our childhoods and things like that. And it's been a struggle for some people. And so we actually use a different visualization. We really think about, from your own heart, a warmth of loving kindness filling your whole body, and it's getting a taste of what that would feel like and letting that happen. The second one is, may I be peaceful and at ease. So that's free of mental afflictions, free of stress, worry, fear, anxiety, peaceful, at ease. My mind's at peace and at ease. May I be well. May I be healthy. And that's an interesting piece. We want to be healthy and well, right? And there's conditions for things. We eat right. We do lots of things maybe to do that. Sometimes we don't eat right and still want to be healthy. pretty sure I had to seize candy last night. I was thinking about in moderation until later today, maybe. So this idea of being healthy and well. Well, what if I bring just the thought of my body being mentally healthy and well? And there's also a lot of research on that. It's funny, they call things a placebo, which I'm not sure how that works. If your body gets better and you brought a mental attitude helping your body get better, I'm not sure that's a placebo. I think that you're doing something. And what we've also found in, whether our prana or our chi, I mean, these are ancient sciences, that as our chi flows, in Tibetan we call it sort of the winds, the lung, the more that they flow with less binding, the healthier your body is. And a lot of disease and things can go by. I've met in my travels so many people who have, nothing really shocks me so much anymore. I've seen some crazy stuff. But there's a woman I know who's in Telluritis, right? I met her, and she was in like stage 3 cancer. She didn't do treatment. She just decided she wasn't going to have the cancer, and started thinking, I don't have it. And that was 10 years ago. It was totally in remission. And it's come back. She posted that a different version, and she's going to take the same approach. But I've seen things like that happen a lot. And our mind has an impact on our body, and how we think about things has a huge impact on our body. And so just if you are getting traditional treatment, if you're going in for surgery, I had some surgery on my nose last year. If you have faith in your doctor, huge difference in your outcome. If you have, an optimistic attitude about it, huge difference in the outcome. That's just measured statistics. So our mind does bring a lot to our outcomes, our health, and our wellness. And so having the thought of, may I be healthy, may I be well, and here we take a little time within the meditation of as we breathe in, really receiving this air that gives us life, the nutrients that give our body health and wellness, and just nurture that for a little bit. And then the fourth is, may I be happy, may I be genuinely happy. And here we get into sort of the real source of happiness, a sense of self-worth, a sense of value, and knowing that your life is meaningful, that you have something to offer the world, that you're capable, as opposed to a stimulus-driven pleasure, which lasts for a very short time. It's that deeper understanding of resiliency and well-being that I can have even when I'm feeling sad, that I can have even when I'm in a challenging situation. And underneath that, I'm okay. We got this. This is how things are going to go. And you can have that state of mind, even in pretty challenging situations. The first time I was tested with it, I was traveling to India to become a monk. So I'm with my teacher, going to go be a monk. And I'm with, this is all, I've worked up for this for a long time, going to India. And we're in a plane, and all of a sudden the plane just free fall. I looked up, and I'm seeing a guy bounce off the ceiling and land 3 aisles up. And I'm thinking, not going to be a monk. Like, it was just free fall. It was just, I'd never experienced anything like that. But it came to a realization, I'm powerless, this is it. And it was interesting because there wasn't any fear. It was just like, I checked for a minute, is there anything you can do? And no, and that's pretty weird, him bouncing way up there. And then eventually it caught, and it just started bouncing around. It was really rocky, and people are screaming, somebody broke their femur. It was like people are thrown out of the seats, people are howling. And finally it stabilized. And it was so bad that even, normally they come on and say, we're okay. Like, the pilot's not saying anything. The flight attendant, you hear people howling. And and their eyes, when they walk by, and finally, they say, we're 20 minutes out, we're going to land. And are there any doctors on? Because we have some of the broken, femur. So, but I'll tell you what, everybody's pretty happy. We were hugging each other when we landed. It was like, we can care about you and me and them and theirs. We're like loving it up. But I bring that up because, I don't know how I'm going to be in a moment like that. You don't know until it's there. But it was interesting to just be, okay, what's the deal now? Not going to get a haircut and wear a dress. Maybe next slide. And, but, I lived. So that's the kind of mind that can happen if we cultivate some understanding, and understanding that, this world that we live in, the experiences that we have, they arise because of a myriad of causes and conditions. And we're not the center of the universe. It's not, like that's the mind that really destroys peace, happiness, and well-being, is that I'm trying to get things to go the way I want them to go, as if that could actually make me happy, which is insane. It can offer you a moment of pleasure, and that's it. And how much stress, worry, and fear do we go into that? How many times have things gone exactly the way you wanted? You can't even count. And we can still be stressed today, wanting that next thing, as though then my life would be okay. So it's not the things, it's how we show up for them. It's how we engage in them and how we learn from them. And so that's the basis of which we enter into this practice, is when we start to understand that everything I have in my life is because of all these conditions, because of others, because of a lot of people I don't like. They're the reason I have a job, they're the reason I have an education. They're paid taxes so I can go to public schools. They built the roads I get to drive on. They had something to do with the car being built, or my bicycle, or the food I eat, or the clothing I'm wearing. And, there is no me and mine, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Even the food I eat. At some point it's food, right? Had some good vegan stuff out in Denton, Texas the other day. Spirals. So it's like a cafe chain, everything's fake meat stuff. Really good. Anyway, it's food. And then I start eating it. At some point it stops being food. It becomes me, right? Food, now it's me. I mean, we're not even getting into all the people that created conditions for the food and how it got there and all the cooking and all that. And then at some point it becomes me. And then at some point it leaves me. And it's not me, it's not food. And if we start to understand that that's how everything is, the air that I breathe, the clothes that I wear, the words I get to learn because of education, because of people who wrote books and the people who create language. And I start recognizing everything I have in my life was from others, including my body. People get caught up in this is my body. I find that one pretty interesting. Really? You create it? Or did your parents give it to you? Like, not even my body did I create. It was given to me by parents and then their parents and all that. And yet, the me and mine is where we're going to have a lot of suffering. We and ours, a lot of reality, a lot of understanding. And as we understand that more accurately, then we can bring loving kindness much more into ourselves, into the world, understanding that we're going to make some mistakes. We're not going to be perfect. And those mistakes in my life, they're not defects. Those mistakes in my life, they're my lesson plans. Well, that's what I'm here to learn. That's what I'm here to learn. I'd like to stop doing that. Got some lessons I've been learning for a long time. But I'm better at it. We practice. Yeah. I had a really valuable lesson plan the other day. And then that is so much healthier than a self-critical voice that says, you screwed up again. You found your lesson for the day. Maybe your life lesson. Why am I here? I'm still learning how to do some of this stuff. And so are they. And as I'm able to do it, then I'm able to extend it to others. And so that's where the power of loving kindness, the foundation of peace, and we get into as we start recognizing that we are finding our way. And we're part of something, not the center of it. And the more I can engage in a wise, healthy way of being, the more I'll be able to bring that to others. But I'll have the benefits. And the old saying that says you can't give what you don't have, I'm not sure I buy that. You can be nice to people when you're not feeling nice, right? You can be compassionate towards someone and not be self-compassionate, right? I would say you can be a lot better at giving something you have. I still think we can give what we don't have. I just don't think we do it very well. And sometimes that's where I practice. I need to learn how to be nice to others and eventually become nice to myself. I had to learn how to do that. And because that was the journey in my own life, was by learning how to be helpful to others, I learned that I could be helpful and that I could be a better human being. And that's how I finally was able to have some self-worth. So I do think there's value in that. All right, so that's a basic foundational introduction. Just check, see if anyone has any questions. I know we have a lot of people online. Any questions there before we take a little break? We have about 4 minutes till break. If you have a question online, you can just unmute yourself. If you have a question here, you can just talk. Okay, then. So we'll take just a short break. We'll begin at the top of the hour, and then we're going to go right into a loving kindness meditation. And we're just going to focus on self first. We're going to go through that right there. Okay, so right at the top of the hour, those of you online, feel free, you are free to move about the cabin. And,